let's just go ahead and get this over with, shall we?
Welcome to Courage and the Constitution. I'm just a guy digging behind the headlines to get to the nuggets of truth. I'm tired of the rhetoric and the propaganda. I'm being lied to by the media. I just want to know what's going on in the world. So let's do this.
First of all, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for subscribing. For those of you who have, I ask that you please like, share, and subscribe. That's what helps us grow the channel, get our voice out, try to reach more people. Hopefully, maybe even rescue a few. Grow our side. Do what we can to preserve sanity. All right, folks, by now you should have watched Section 1 and Section 2, if not the full video, without being broken down, but one of those, both, at least Section 1 and 2 first. This is going to be Section 3, finalizing the bill HR127 proposed by Sheila Jackson Lee, Democrat out of Texas. This gives you full idea. Well, not even full idea, because you break down the Biden-Harris gun plan, there's even more to it, way more to it. But this is just this one bill telling you what they are literally after. So we're going to finish up the bill here, and then I'm also going to finish with a commentary. Like I said, you can actually watch Sections 1, 2, and 3 if you want in the video in full. I tell you, it's a little over 40 minutes long, so grab your coffee, sit down, watch, enjoy. Probably don't enjoy, because there's nothing enjoyable about it. But at least we have to get the information out there. So thank you for watching. If you are a firearm, or if you believe in the right to self-protection and that you don't need to rely on the government to take care of you, because the government can't, this is important for you to know. Because I'm going to tell you right now, this is not me using hyperbole. It's not me trying to fearmonger, and it's not me exaggerating anything. It is literally, in the words of this bill from this congresswoman from Texas, to disarm you and to leave you disenfranchised, and to do so without abolishing the Second Amendment. I'm going to break it down piece by piece. Bear with the video, because you are going to learn a lot. A threaded barrel capable of accepting a barrel extender, flash suppressor, forward hand grip. I've done a different video on how a suppressor is not a silencer. Contrary to popular belief, does zero to inhibit crime, but they're going for it. Semi-automatic shotgun. It shall be unlawful for a person to sell or give firearm or ammunition to another person unless you notify Attorney General of the sale or gift. Basically, grandfather dies, you inherit his old shotgun. Government has to know about it. And by the way, part of the penalty is you're a felon if you don't. Let's get to the penalties and the punishments. Let's spank you. Whoever knowingly violates sections, all those sections, shall be fined. So, it's all about gun safety, right? Let's say you decide, oh no, I'm not going to tell the government what I have and where. Absolutely not. Here's the fine. Shall be fined not less than $75,000 and not more than $100,000. Imprisoned not less than 15 years and not more than 25 years, or both. And shall not be fined less than $100,000, $150,000. People, listen to me. Listen to me very carefully. This has nothing to do with safety. It has nothing to do with safety. There are more firearms in this country than there are people living in it. Millions upon millions of people who own firearms. There are not millions and millions of deaths out there. People own firearms to protect themselves and protect the people around them. They own firearms for sport, for fun. We go to the range. We're a community. We're safe with them. We lock them up. This has nothing to do with keeping the streets safe. It has everything to do. Oh, and they want a registry? I'm going to tell you right now. You look at every single country. If I said in a different video, every single country that instituted a registry, every single one, from 1930s Germany to Yugoslavia to Cuba to Venezuela to Australia, every single one, a registry was the step right before confiscation. But they're not coming for your guns. That is a shitload of lie right there. Anytime anybody says that to you, you disregard them if they're not going to listen to you because they know nothing. It is in writing right here. They are literally trying to disarm the people. $75,000 because somebody can't pay an $800. And who do you think that's going to disenfranchise most? Low-income areas and areas, especially more urban areas, which also happen to be a higher densely populations of color. So you're disenfranchising black people, if you want to put it that way. So you're a racist. So this law violates the Constitution and it violates civil rights. We have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. All three of those are violated by this. Prohibition on possession of certain ammunition. This is also important. I'm not going to go much into it here because I talked about it in video number 1, which is much shorter than this. It shall be unlawful for any person to possess ammunition that is 50 caliber or greater. A Desert Eagle is 50 caliber. Smith & Wesson makes a very popular 50 caliber revolver. Never been used in a crime. It shall be unlawful for any person to possess a large capacity ammunition feeding device that is 10, anything over 10 rounds. This would make me a felon. It's a piece of plastic. And if you own a gun, probably going to make you a felon too. Large capacity ammunition feeding device, defined. Let's see what they say here. The term large capacity ammunition feeding device means a magazine, belt, drum, feed strip, or similar device that has the capacity of, or that can be readily restored or converted to accept more than 10 rounds of ammunition. Violating these penalties, $50,000 fine, $100,000, we've talked about that. Knowingly violates will throw you in prison and fine. Ladies and gentlemen, they don't care about you. This has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with the government. You know what? I read you the bill all the way through, all the applicable parts. In their words, what they want. And they say they're not coming for your guns. Let me say something to you. Thank you for bearing with me. I know that that was long, so that's why I'm breaking it down into different parts. Unless you've watched it in full, in which case you're a trooper, and I thank you. But even if you watch it and it's 3 parts still, thank you. I really want you to know this information because I want everybody to know this information. So please, I'm asking you, like, share, subscribe. That's what really helps get this out. Okay, this is going to help us all. And it's not just myself. Look at other people as well. I would suggest people like Colion Noir if you want to know more. There's lots of gun advocates on YouTube you can watch. Iraqi Veteran 8888 is another one. Find these people. Look what they have to say as well. We are all passionate about this. We are all passionate about self-protection, about protecting our homes, our loved ones, our homes, and protecting our country, our constitutional republic against what the government is trying to do with it. So again, I just thank you for bearing with me with this. And I just have to say something now about the Second Amendment as we close this out. But again, thank you. Like, share, subscribe. The Second Amendment, you have to understand, it's there. It's a way to restrain a government, which naturally, as we're seeing now, and governments historically, just out of natural occurrence of government, over time, they get bigger, they get stronger, and they get far more overreaching with a hunger for power and more control. And that is absolutely dangerous, especially in a culture now where the younger generation has been convinced and being groomed up that socialism or some form of it is a good idea. And of course, it's awful. It's an awful idea that really does put a lot of people in a smaller box and while giving the keys of power to the elite at the top to lord it over everyone. But they've changed around definitions of what is fascism and what isn't, for example, with Trump. And people believe it. So there's a reason it says, shall not be infringed. And no, it's not just for a temporary time of when the colonials had to fight against the British, because for one, the Second Amendment would have sunset after that time. And 2, it was not a suggestion. It is an amendment written in ink and established in our Constitution and signed for. So was it really just about muskets and fighting the British? No, not at all. Not at all. Absolute period, the end. Shall not be infringed does not have a clause of sunset to it. It does not mean it should, over time, that it should be lessened and reduced. It meant at that time shall not be infringed. And it means it now. At this time, shall not be infringed. It is frustrating to see how people continue to try to qualify the Second Amendment or qualify that statement when there's no wording of qualification within it. It is there. It is written in ink. It is signed by the founding fathers of this nation. It says, shall not be infringed. It does not say shall not be infringed except, or shall not be infringed but, or shall not be infringed except only when. It says shall not be infringed. Period. The end. And why did they put it in there? Well, there's plenty of hints as to why when you look at everything in context. Again, it is not just about militias. In fact, if you can find an original copy of the Second Amendment, and I mean the first draft, it makes it even more clear. But Thomas Jefferson, as an example himself, said that every couple years, the government needs to, or every couple hundred years, the government needs to be purged. Why? Because they get too overreaching, too corrupt, too overbearing, and too dangerous to a constitutional republic. And in time, it is inevitable that they will grow so enormous and take away from the people any fight that they have in them or means to stand against the government in order to rule without opposition. You can look also, although it's attributed to the potential of, I think, about 3 different people, including Jefferson himself, and also Thomas Paine is another, but a well-known saying that says, this is the founding fathers, the government, they said, when the government fears the people, then there's freedom, and when the people fear the government, there's tyranny. The government wrote that at that time. Context. So when you look at all these different things in context, coming from the mouths and the pens of our signers of our Constitution and our Declaration of Independence and our founding father, when you understand and gain an understanding of where they stood and why and how they viewed everything in context of their time and their person and the wisdom that they brought and what was in their mind and what they wanted for this nation and what they were establishing, what they wanted for us hundreds of years later, becomes even far more clear what the Second Amendment means. In fact, HR127 by Sheila Jackson Lee, I made the point in the first video that the bill, they're wanting to outlaw certain kinds of ammunition, okay? And that's including armor-piercing ammunition. We talked about 50 cal in this one, but armor-piercing, even though there's never, ever, ever been a crime that used armor-piercing. Why? Because it's too damn expensive. It would limit the amount of rounds somebody could buy with their dollars to go and pull off a crime. And it's not practical, and it's not needed when going after soft targets, which is where these people attack, especially gun-free zones. People aren't wearing armor. Therefore, knowing that, understanding that, it really begs the question of why she is mentioning very specifically armor-piercing rounds. Unless, of course, there's some idea that, well, there would be need for armor-piercing rounds. And then you'd have to ask where and who would this armor represent? And why would the government want the people to be without it? So please, do you understand? Do you see this entire HR 127, which has the backing of so many people in a government now that is so progressively left and Democrat, with Biden himself creating so many, on his own website, explaining what he wants to do with guns, with Kamala Harris being a complete czar who wants to disarm everybody. They're trying to pack the Supreme Court now. They're looking at that. They've got the House. They've got the Senate. Is every one of them going to vote for it? Of course not. But might some of these pass and others don't? Yes, at least that. And that's what they continue to do. More and more and more, chipping away at it. Where it says in our Constitution, though, shall not be infringed. Folks, there's nothing in this bill that's about safety. The government doesn't need to know how you store your guns or where you store them. Really? Does the government really need a registry of every single gun, the serial number, the color, the make, the model? Do they really need that? Do you realize if you have a gun, one thing that's very, very popular with guns, especially ARs, are people go in, they get them what's called Cerakote. As one way, there's other ways of doing it, but Cerakote, which is a type of, let's call it like a painting, just for easy terms, guns. Sometimes they want to get this in camo or coyote brown or earth brown or whatever. Sometimes you have them, in dollar bills. You change your gun, you change anything that you have on that registration, you have to let the government know about it. Why? Why do they need to know that? Knowing where you store a weapon in your home, knowing what color your gun is that really going to prevent them, keep them from preventing crimes? Do they have some kind of clairvoyance we don't know about? No, people, it has nothing to do with safety. It has everything to do with creating a registry for purpose of confiscation. That is and that's not exaggeration. That really is the only reason they need a registry, is to know who has what and where. And in order to make sure they have it, they institute absurd penalties of felony, $75,000 to $100,000 fine per penalty. $75,000 at the minimum. Psychiatric evaluations, $800 registration? For what? Millions of people are going out committing crimes. This is ridiculous. It is all about taking your guns. So for those who say they're not trying to take your guns, I'm sorry, you are 100% wrong, because you really don't know what you're talking about. You are somebody who comes in, it's almost like, I think of the Big Lebowski, when, why can't I remember his name? There's Donnie. Those of you who are fans of Lebowski, you're probably killing me right now. Obviously, there's the dude himself. There's Donnie. Walter. The dude's friend, Walter, where he keeps looking at Donnie. You're out of your effing league, Donnie. Donnie, you're out of your league. You're out of your league, Donnie. Donnie, you're like a child wandering into a dark theater. That's what these people are like. If they tell you they're not trying to take your guns, you can look at them confidently and know that they really, for one, they're wrong. And for two, they're not qualified to give an opinion. They're really not, because they don't know enough information to give a valid opinion. You can't be given opinions when you don't understand what's really going on. That is just arrogance, hubris, and stupidity. That is what that is. And I can think of people by name on my own Facebook page who have come out and told me things like that. Oh, they're not trying to. I'm thinking of many of you, every one of you. I remember who you are. Every one of you falls under that category. So yes, they are. And there's only one reason why they would want to do that. And it's not about safety, y'all. This isn't a fight just about a tool or a toy. This is a fight about so much more than that. It literally is a fight for our constitutional republic. It really is a fight for our liberty. Remember, the government told us a couple hundred years back that when you fear the government, it's tyranny. When the government fears you, it's liberty. And who was it? Is it Franklin, I think? I'd have to double check who the quote's really from, but it's something along the lines of, he who gives up liberty for safety, and it is not the exact quote, I have to look it up, but he who gives up liberty for safety doesn't deserve either, or he forsakes them both, or something like that. This has never been more pressing and more true than it is today. Scripture says that in the end, people are going to start saying right is wrong and wrong is right. They're coming out now pushing the idea that if you are white, and I've showed this in other videos, if you're white, you are a racist. It doesn't matter. People are coming out saying every single one, no exception, every single white person is racist. If you're a black person but you support whiteness, or you happen to support Trump, you happen to be able to think for yourself, you happen to not follow just what everybody else does because it's what they do, then you are on the scale of whiteness. You're somewhere whiteness, which makes you essentially white, which makes you an enemy. Do you see what they're doing? They're calling Donald Trump a fascist who is trying to bring the greatest economy to our nation, who is trying to give as much independence to everybody, the Platinum Plan for African Americans, setting up opportunity zones, giving opportunities to everybody so that we're not crushed under the government, but we as a populace can actually do things for ourselves and expand and grow. Meanwhile, the new administration coming in is doing all this. I'm not going to say Donald Trump was specifically a friendly president, because he did ban bump stocks and stuff like that, which is ridiculous. But he wasn't sitting here trying to disarm the people. Biden comes in and says, I'm taking down the NRA. Translation, he's taking down everything that stands in his way to do what he wants to do, to take the guns. That's the reason they call it gun control. What the government wants to control. It's not gun safety, it's gun control. And that's what they want. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am so sorry that this went so long, but I'm not sorry because it's a passion of mine, because it is more than just about guns. So much more than that. So much more. Our country rides on this. So please, if this means anything to you, like, share, and subscribe. That's what helps grow the channel, and I really want to grow it so badly. I want to reach more people with these kinds of messages. And remember, there is a side that has absolutely lost it. They have given up principle. They have given up standing on integrity. Don't do that. Don't be that. Set that bar higher. Have that standard. Be that example. And please, remember, in everything, be wise. Use discernment. And don't ever, even if they threaten you with bills like this, ever let anybody control you with fear. Because if they do, then you're going to start giving up your rights, you're going to give up your freedoms, and you will have no way of ever getting them back. I love you guys.